We are visible online. I'm not online, so it's not showing yet. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Sairam, let's start the study circle with 3 Om. 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 Dear Swami, we are so grateful to be able to meet here together in your presence today. While we are here together studying your word in your Bhagavata Vahini, we ask that you open our ears and hearts to whatever it is you want us to learn. Please speak through each one of us and help us progress in our spiritual journey. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, everyone. I apologize. I have been driving the whole day and just got stuck in a bad storm, and that delayed me by the last 10 minutes, I should say. It was actually delayed by 5, but with the added traffic. So just a reminder to mute your cell phones if you have not already done so. We can start our discussion today, and let's speak from the heart and listen with humility and see what this chapter brings us. So review from the last session. I did not get the time to finish this, but we were on chapter 32. We talked about the Puranas and the incarnations. Of course, I will fill this all up and send it out. If anyone is interested, please do reach out to me, and I can definitely share. And we talked in detail about why the incarnations happen and what is the importance of Puranas. Now, today we are going to be discussing. Oh, before I go on, is there anything anyone wants to add from the last session? Because it was about Puranas and incarnations. And if there is something that anyone would like to add, this is a great time. Okay. All right. Let me just see if this works. All right. Today we are going to go on to the next chapter. And of course, our discussions and the topics are circular. They keep cycling through. So we will be touching upon the same or similar topics from what we discussed in earlier sessions. So just be focused. Let's listen to this chapter and take what we can from here, and we'll discuss in the future of this session. Okay, give me one. Okay. I think okay, Sairam, can you just bear with me for another 2 minutes? I think the audio is not working. Yeah, Sairam, now I think it should work. I forgot to add this, I think.
Bhagavatha Vahini, Chapter 33, The Rama Avatar. Sage Sukha resumed his narration. O King, first I shall describe the Saumya quality of Sri Rama. By Saumya, I mean his gentle, soft and mild nature. He wore a leaf green gown and had a yellow cloth round his waist. He had a golden diadem, but he walked along with his eyes on the ground, as if he was ashamed to look up. The scene melted the hearts of all who saw. No one caught him in the act of casting his look on others. He had always the inner vision, not the outer. Whenever anyone offered anything to him, he did not accept it entirely. He used to break off a bit or take out just a portion in order to please them, or he just touched the offering with his fingers and gave it back to the person who brought it. He moved with his father-in-law and mother-in-law, not as a son-in-law but as a son. He seldom opened his mouth to speak to his sisters-in-law or their maids. He never lifted his face and cast his eyes on them. All women older than himself he revered as he revered his mother Kausalya. He considered all who were younger than him as his younger sisters. All of his own age he treated as if they were his stepmothers. He stuck severely to truth. He surmised that if his father broke his word, the dynasty will earn great dishonor. So, in order to uphold the plighted word of his father and to maintain his reputation, he exiled himself into the forests for 14 years. His father did not ask him to do so, but he learnt it from his stepmother Kaikeyi. He never argued or gave a reply, and started straight to the jungle. He acted correctly according to the words spoken by him, and suited the action strictly to the word. Rama had a heart filled with compassion. He gave refuge to anyone who took shelter in him and surrendered to him. When the Vanaras, the monkey hordes, and the Rakshasas, the ogres, were engaged in deadly combat during the battle in Lanka with the wicked Ravana, some Rakshasas changed themselves into Vanaras and penetrated behind the lines, but they were promptly caught by the Vanara scouts and brought before Lord Rama for drastic punishment. But Rama stopped the Vanaras from torturing them. He told them that they had come to take refuge in him and declared that it was his vow to pardon all those who surrendered to him, whatever their wrongs. He had thus given refuge to the brother of Ravana and treated him as his own brother Lakshmana. If he says once, "I am yours," he is mine forever, Rama announced. Rama lived dharma and taught dharma through his every act. He established dharma by practice and precept. He fostered and guarded good men, sadhus. He removed the sufferings of the godly. He drew them near himself. Their lives were fulfilled through his grace. He recognized no distinctions of high and low. He was a master of all the Shastras. He knew the meaning of all the Vedas. Rama transformed the world into a realm of righteousness through his varied activities and example. During the great horse sacrifice he performed, all the sages and scholars of ritual who had assembled honored him as a great upholder of tradition and culture. His compassion and softness of heart are beyond description. No words can convey their depth and extent. He praised the dying eagle, Jatayu, a bird, which no one will ordinarily honor, on his lap. He wiped with his own flowing hair the dust that had enveloped it. When it finally breathed its last, he performed the obsequies even as a son does when his father dies. Rama's very appearance cast a charm on all who saw him. Love, beauty and virtue emanated from him and spread to all around him. He treated the Vanaras, monkey tribals, with as much affection as he had towards his brothers, Bharata, Lakshmana and Shatrugna. Rama was full manifestation of righteousness, dharma. The sages extolled him, saying that dharma itself had taken that human form. There is no need to dilate and speak of 1,000 details. For all householders, Rama is the ideal. His advent was for restoring spiritual values and saving the world from moral disaster. How affectionately he moved with his brothers. Everything was ready for his coronation. But at the last minute, when he was exiled and had to go to the forests, the populace of Ayodhya wailed in uncontrollable anguish. But Rama moved out of the city and the kingdom with as much joy and equanimity as he had when he moved towards the throne for the coronation. What greater example is needed than this for the Sthita Prajna, the person whose consciousness is calm and beyond all agitation? Rama felt that the plighted word was worth the sacrifice of even life. He suffered with perfect equanimity grievous hardships in order to preserve the plighted word of his father. His sincere persistence in carrying out the promise made by his father is an inspiration and example to every son of man. Mother Sita too insisted on accompanying her husband to the forest, since the true wife can keep alive only in the company of the husband. She had never before exposed herself to sun and rain, but she spent her days in the terror-stricken forest as in duty-bound and in unsullied joy. He who is born with you is more worthy of affection than she who joined you later. That was the view of Lakshmana when he joined his brother Rama, leaving his wife Urmila in Ayodhya itself. Bharata could not but obey Rama's wish. He came back to the capital with a heavy heart, since Rama declined to come and enthrone himself. Bharata created an artificial forest for himself. That is to say, he led an ascetic's life out of inner compulsion, since he felt he must live like his exiled brother. Consider the difference between Dasharatha the father and Rama the son. To please his wife, to make her happy and contented, the father was prepared to bear the utmost agony. Finally, he even sent his dear son as an exile to the jungle. But Rama, the son, sent his wife into the jungle as an exile, in order to respect the opinion of a commoner in his empire. Think of the different ways in which the two carried out their duties to the people over whom they ruled. Dasharatha was overwhelmed by the illusion that he was the physical body. On the other hand, Rama was moved by the realization that he was the Atma. What greater task and mission in life can a man have than the contemplation of that Supreme Person? To save oneself from downfall, the only exercise needed is listening to the glorious narratives of the lives of avatars. All your sin is washed away, said Sukha. At this, Parikshit was delighted. His face flushed with excitement. He said, Master, while your account of the life and activities, the virtue and charm of Rama, the embodiment of Dharma, is bestowing on me such great ananda, I wonder how much greater would be the ananda I can derive when you describe the career of Krishna, the dark blue beauty personified. How sweet must be the accounts of Krishna's childhood pranks, his boyish adventures, his divine leelas. I pray that I must be kept immersed in the thought and contemplation of the might and majesty, the charm and beauty of Sri Krishna himself during the days that I still have to live. O Lord, I pray that I must be saved from the cycle of birth and death thereby.
Okay, Sairam, this is a short chapter and a condensed story of Ramayana, actually. And I have a few discussion questions here, but if anyone has any other topics, we can definitely discuss. This is just my understanding here. So please go ahead. Venkatji. Yeah.
Sairam, I happened to listen to Suresh Govind's talk today in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, where he talked about Ramayana, and so it is so connected. So, but one story about how we should follow Guru's words. He narrated the story of Sabari, where we all know the story; it's not new, but her guru, when she was a small girl, tells her that, wait, Lord Rama will come, and then you will be blessed. And then he walks away. He goes. Now that is the only word that she got, and she wanted to offer the best to Rama. And we all know that she picked all the best berries and would taste and make sure she will keep all the good ones, and then discard all the bad ones. And that in these days, when we are, I mean, he narrated that when we are all guru shopping, we tend to see, oh, does that guru do that? Does this guru do that?
Yeah.
Or who is the better guru? Instead of doing that, she could have easily just wandered or ignored the guru's command. But she was waiting till she became extremely old, and still she was there waiting. And that's when that Lord Rama comes. So that patience and the strict adherence to the Guru's words is what is required. And that's what he narrated. And
Yeah.
I thought that that's appropriate.
Very, very, yeah. And yeah, I've heard that about Shabari, of course. Okay, a few discussion points that I thought of, because we all know the story so well. His demeanor, basically, how can we embody gentleness and humility? Is it possible in today's uh, world, and how can we do it in our daily lives? And then, of course, dharma over desire, which we have talked about multiple times. But I think it's always good to reiterate, where you stand with it. So first thing I just think, going chronological, this is just an order of things here, but from the chapter. So how can we embody gentleness or humility in positions of influence or responsibility, even otherwise? I mean, we are always responsible. I think we always are in a position, even at home, but we are not always gentle. I'm not. So just Saumya is the word. So Saumya personified. Yeah.
Sairam, I can give my own personal experience in this, because I've never been a very loud person, or, I don't give that impression of aggressiveness, because most of the time I don't have it. I'm not saying all the time. I think with the kids it comes out. But so when I used to interview for residencies, in India, it doesn't matter, because all they care about is studies and marks. You get the marks, you're inside. There's no interview process, selection process, and all that. When I came here and applied for residencies, we had to do the interviews. And the first few that I attended, I always used to get the feedback towards the end saying, you're not aggressive enough to be in the residency. You should be more aggressive. So for me, it felt like at the end when they told that, it was a definite no, right, to get into the program. And after a few interviews, I thought, this is odd. Why do doctors have to be aggressive? What has it got to do with aggressiveness? You just have to know your stuff, and you write treatments, and I didn't understand at the time why you have to be aggressive or assertive. But but I just kept after a few interviews, I got more confident. Maybe there was perception that there was, you're not confident, you're not aggressive, therefore you won't be able to manage the patients well. Eventually I did get into the program that I wanted, and I still continued to, I mean, you can't change your personality drastically, right? But I knew my subjects well. I was a good physician, and got selected as a chief resident. And even for that selection, my program director, I remember saying that, I don't think you're aggressive enough to be a chief resident. I was looking at her like, give it or leave it. I don't care, just it's up to you. But they gave it to me. And in fact, at the end of it, I got awarded as one of the best chief residents, because it doesn't, it is important to be assertive, and follow your path and know, have that knowledge base that is more important eventually, than just be aggressive and loud and, shout at people. I don't think that really delivers anything meaningful. At the end, I could, I felt like, just even though you're gentle or, soft spoken, you can still be equally as effective as someone who's loud.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great story. Thank you for sharing.
So I think gentleness and gentleness essentially, what I don't think that's the goal. The goal is to, from what I remember, Swami sometimes used to yell at people as well and to show in his face anger and everything. However, he always did that with love. So I think it's less about the gentleness and more about trying to display and show that love towards everyone.
Absolutely. But this
Yeah.
question that I was referring to is mostly not, when you are in a position that you can actually, throw your weight around, kind of, because Rama had that. Rama could if he wanted to. But the reason we talk about him today is because he did not do that. But your point is correct. I totally agree with what you're saying as well.
I kind of remember reading a statement from one of the books from Nehru talking about Gandhi. So in that he says, Gandhi used to make, you become great not by pushing the people down, by rising above them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that still he was a man of, position of influence, but he wanted to put his point across, like Bhargav said, he may not have been gentle,
Absolutely.
but he was able to still persuade and get what he wanted to do without, pushing them down. That is, I think, that is what is really meant here.
Most important. Yeah.
So, gentleness when we talk about it, right? So, not talking but shouting inside in your head. So, gentleness, when I think about it, there are people who are very quiet, but inside they're very angry, right? And it's all bottled up. That is not it, right? You don't project it out. So, gentleness, I'm thinking, is a calmness in mind. You are not, it's like a calm wave, right? You are not having any
Absolutely.
ups and downs.
Mm.
That is what it is. And how do you get that equanimity, right, in your brain? What is it when you are least affected by things that are outside, when your source of energy is from inside and not outside, right? So that is what it is. Right? And when you say something outside, but immediately, some people like Swami, he's talked about, and there are people who are there who say that, what they think, right? And they don't have filters. They think, but they don't mean to hurt you. They think, and the next minute they come and talk to you. And so, how do the thing is, not only should we be gentle in our head in the sense that we should be calm, we should be able to understand others also, right? So,
listen.
that listening aspect where you are able to get the goodness from whatever they say, whatever it may be that may hurt you. So I feel like those are all that Saumya Bhava, right?
Yeah.
And that I need to incorporate is what my thought is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sairam. No, I just thought I don't know if it is Swami's message or in the previous study circle where he talks about Rama's qualities. And in that one, I distinctly remember Rama apparently was very assertive. It doesn't mean being assertive doesn't mean not being gentle. That means he was not ambiguous because he had complete knowledge of whatever, even as a child, as he was growing up. Everybody will come to Rama seeking his advice because he was very clear. Yes, no. He was able to distinctly identify and say that. So, and he was very assertive in the sense he will not accept anything other than, because he was always correct. So anything he will not accept. So that was his nature. So gentleness and assertive, this one need not be aggressive. Definitely, yes, it's opposite. We cannot be aggressive, but he was
Agree. Yeah, absolutely. And being assertive needs clarity.
Exactly.
It actually needs clarity of thought
Correct.
and And it also needs a person who actually looks at their actions and questions it, and brings out the best in them, so we can actually imbibe that which we learned from. I think, yes, that absolutely. Absolutely. So if we move along, so compassion without conditions, is that possible? I thought that was kind of hard. I mean, these are questions that, so if you have any other topics, we can definitely discuss. As I read about it, this is what I thought, that we are always, I think compassion is very conditional to a lot of people. Love all, serve all is very hard. Empathy wise, compassion may not be the right word, because this was the first word that came to me. I guess empathy is something that is more harder. We can I don't know if we can do that without judgment or conditions. How can we do that?
But can you give an example? Like, what do you mean by conditions?
So it's conditional. So for example, if a terrorist is shot somewhere, we don't feel compassion. We think he deserved it. It's not always. We are conditioned to think, if the nice person, who socially nice person, is
Somehow I don't
lost.
feel that. I don't.
I mean,
feel
I'm
that
giving a
way.
third party thing, but typically
it's-
we actually come to our conclusions. Oh, that man is such a sweet man. He didn't deserve what happened. We may not say it out loud, but many of these things are conditioned. We don't feel as much empathy when someone has done something wrong, either by us or just by law, either ways. And this actually leads to, what kind of discrimination do you use? If you use discrimination, how should you react to that? There are things that we approve of, there are things that we don't approve of. So all of those things went into my thought process. I'm just putting it out there.
It's very true, because typically movies also, right? You get carried away when the villain is punished, everybody's happy, because you think they're doing so many wild things, right? And that's where I think the talk before that Venkatji put was very, yeah, he was talking about this. So we are always in those three chairs, like the sensory, first thing we get carried away with that. Then maybe the mind comes into fact, even then the intellect, unless you elevate above all three and look at equanimity, then the love for all will shine through. So we have to take a moment in real life. Of course, movie, it ends and we also forget about it. In real life, when we make such judgments, it's just like take a moment and step back and think beyond that. I think that's one way.
I think it stems from partially one-side attachment, because when you're talking about, oh, he's such a sweet guy, you might be more attached to that person than this other person. Well, we should all remember that everybody, any animal from the atom to the cosmos is divine. We always need to have that in our mind and always remember that.
So what do we practice to remember that then? Because it has to come with practice. As human beings, we are in one of these three chairs.
Saira. So we can learn compassion from nature without condition, like the sun shines everywhere. Whether it is a clear water or a dirty water, it doesn't discriminate. The tree gives shades to good people, bad people, or even people who are trying to hurt, cut off the branch. So there are a lot of, things we can learn from nature itself, how to be compassionate without condition. I mean, we do have compassion without condition to our closest, maybe we can say to our children. Maybe that's the best we can say. No matter how badly they behave or they don't respect you, they don't take, still we have the compassion for a child. No parent would say anything negative or wish them ill for the children. So we are capable of doing that, but we are very selective about it. So there are, I was reading about the spiritual practices, what we can do in our mindset, that at the consciousness level, practice ektam, right? The I am Atman, one consciousness in everybody. So you be steady in that. Okay, keep that in mind all the time. Be in that state of mind. Okay, and then at the mind level, like Rama, he was practicing equanimity, whether he is going to be the king or he is going to be to the forest the same day, and he was not elated or defeated. He took it in stride. So that is one way of for us also practicing equanimity, good or bad. I'm not going to be affected by that. This needs a lot of practice, of course. Okay, and here it is what they call is the samatvam. First one is ekatvam. You just be concentrating on that. I am consciousness. Everybody is consciousness.
Yeah, that is what
Atman.
Nisargadatta
Right.
says. Yes.
And then second one is the samatvam. We are all one. Okay. So we practice. I'm not going to be elevated or upset or anything. Whatever happens, that is what. And then when we deal with the worldly things, with people, with situations, at that point, what we do is asangatvam. You detach. You do your duty, you do what you need to be doing, but don't get attached to the result or don't get attached to that situation or the people. See, these are the three practices that we can do. It's all in Gita only.
Yeah.
So if we can do that, we can have compassion without condition or whatever you have listed, all the good things we can have.
No, but so it's very hard to do what you're saying. It is momentary, I can understand, but to stay in it is what I find.
What is making it hard?
I don't know, my judgments.
Yes, then work on it. So
That's what I'm
whatever is, see, we are capable of doing it. What is stopping us from doing it? Us only, our mind, our ego, right? So we don't have to achieve everything overnight. We talked about the spiritual practices before. It takes patience, the perseverance, Venkat was saying, right? With a guru. See, Shabari was like tribal. Tribal. She couldn't get any guru. She wanted to, but we have all those systems who can get a guru. So she took this word, wait, Rama will come to you. She stuck to that, the patience and the perseverance. We cannot simply say it is hard, it is hard. We can say that till to the grave. Nothing will get done. So we are intelligent people. We can look into it and we can take one small step at a time, right? We don't have to worry about the goal, but we will reach there if we are persistent.
Yes, just what I was thinking was chant the Lord's name whenever and wherever you can. That will remind you of all these things. It'll remind you to stay devoted, to have that compassion without the condition. Remember all the that Brahman exists everywhere.
So true, so true. So today I was reading one of the Buddhas, this one, and in Buddha, he was walking and somebody yelled at Buddha saying, you are a lazy guy. You just put on the sannyasi thing and then you are begging, just free. You're trying to get free food. And then the disciple there started yelling back to that guy. It was like, do you know who this person is and all that. Buddha said, no, you just walk with me, just keep quiet. And then somewhere else, when they went again, the enlightened one, they fell on his feet and they were like taking Buddha. Even then, he was calm. And so this guy was so happy that they are, praising Buddha, his guru and all that. So, and then he asked Buddha, why are you so, calm and quiet? The other person said he said that when somebody offers you flower and you take that flower, then that flower becomes yours to hold on to. If you don't take that, it is them to hold on to that. The same thing, when you don't accept that, it is for them. You don't accept both of these things. So that's what one of the part that you were saying, right? So whenever we go through everything, actually nothing is outside. Everything is inside us, right? So when we start feeling angry, we really have to look inside and we have to really introspect and see what is wrong with us. Nothing is outside us, right? Why are we angry and what is it that is causing it, right? If here is where I am failing, because when I see adharma going out, happening, I'm getting angry. I'm like, this is adharma. I don't mind somebody yelling at me or shouting at me. I'm fine with that. But when adharma is going on, I feel like, oh my God, adharma is going on. It is like, so I get angry at that point. So what do we do at that point, and how do we have samatva, not get angry? That is the part where I'm having trouble. How would Buddha, how would great sage react at that point? How
One
will
second.
they
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah. See, Buddha also said, right? Anityam, anityam, sarvam, anityam. Shanikam, shanikam, sarvam, shanikam. Shunyam, shunyam, sarvam, shunyam. And the last one is, what is the last one? Dukkham, dukkham, sarvam, dukkham. So momentary, but we don't think this is momentary. Everything is momentary. Everything is not permanent, right? And everything is void, and everything is misery, dukkha. But we get caught up in the situation. See, you think something is adharmic, and then we go back to the Draupadi situation. We thought that is pretty black and white. It is adharma. But they have so many gray areas. They all had some excuse not to be interfering with that. So like that, there are things happening. We think it is adharmic, but it may not be so in the long picture. That's one thing.
That's what I also wanted to say, because it's all our perception that is coming to picture. So based on the information that we gather, that also can be selective, because we already perceive that that particular action is not correct. The moment we look at all the actions from that standpoint, everything will be wrong. All the actions will be wrong because we are perceiving that way. So we are not looking at the other side of the coin. So there must be other side of the coin. So if you're equanimous, if you're willing to accept that, if you're not interfering, just like how you gave the example of Buddha, not accepting it. Not accepting means not physically accepting anything, not even accepting that idea that comes to you that could be wrong. Okay, now don't even encourage that. Just accept it. And then if it is really adharmic, that means if it is really wrong, then there will be consequences for that. You don't have to be party to it. And you don't have to get affected by that. That is what I think.
So, yes, you don't have to get affected by it until it hits you close to home. Only when your Medicare is gone, that's when you realize, oh my God, this adharma has impacted me. And there is nothing, I mean, how do you, I mean, that's all, that's today's world, right? That's why we are trying to talk out these things, because we can at least have our, I don't know, have a thought process in place when these things happen, when things cross your mind. What do you think? What do you say?
Sorry, one thing that occurs to me is, positive thinking has got to be there all the time.
Yeah.
It's a passing cloud. That thought has to keep going. Even when all these things hits you home, you have to say, okay, at this moment, yes, it is hitting me, but it will pass. The better days are going to come. So always thinking about what is the, disaster hits you. What can I do now? I'm still here.
Right.
So how can I now deal with that in the next step? That's all. I think the positive thing is the most important one.
Right. Yeah.
So
very true.
my thought is that when adharma is going on, the clarity has to be there that this is adharma, because as a group only we can, attack that adharma. So if we just keep quiet and say that, oh, let it pass, then I think that we are doing adharma. That is, so basically, sorry, I'm trying to understand, when should this action, it need not be anger, but vocalizing, should we vocalize? Or
Yeah.
is that also wrong? Right? Because if we keep quiet, we are allowing the adharma to happen. And if we
keep quiet,
allow
we-
the adharma to
Yeah.
happen, then we are participating in that adharma.
Right.
Right? So then what
You
should we
know,
do?
what I understand is the perception of what is adharma is where the thing is. I mean, how can we
No, there is-
classify that as adharma until we are sure about it? So that is where the issue is. I mean, because our whatever action takes place, I mean, in the case of Ramayana, when Ravana takes Sita outside, it's a clear black and white picture that that is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. In many cases, it's dicey. You cannot, I mean, the person who is doing it thinks that that is the correct thing to do. So you may feel that it is not right. So it's your perception that is coming into picture. So I don't know whether we can, there may be avenues where you can voice your opinion, but there is no point in working up, or what do you call
getting worked out.
getting worked out with that.
Also, it is karma has a play to in all these things. Why adharma? Because if we elect an adharmic person, it will be an adharmic. Or we can learn. Last week we talked about what do we learn from the Puranic stories. What did we learn from Mahabharata? When Draupadi was assaulted and everybody kept quiet, and then what is the end result of it? The war happened and everything got destroyed. So many people got killed. So when adharmic things are happening, that is happening for a reason, for a change. Also, we can look at it. What we can do in our capacity, we can do in a dharmic way, whatever it is, that will add to the dharmic pool. Okay. But we cannot talk about other things which is beyond our control in a collective world, collective consciousness. What can we do about it? The best thing we can do, pray for good things to happen, right? Even Ramayana also, whatever other things happen, it happened for a reason and good things come out of it. So let's hope that whatever is happening bad right now, according to us, it's not going to continue like that. It will give us a good result.
Okay. If so, the last one actually, I think we should continue the conversation if we need to on Atma consciousness versus body consciousness, because when I came in, he was also talking about Jivatma. So that was what it was going on in my head. The only reason is, first thing, how can we shift from body identity? Because obviously all of these things bother you today, but momentarily maybe you will be able to take yourself away from the situation that is happening around us, as far as emotions, ego, the roles we play, what have you. And how do we shift to an Atma identity? Is that possible for common people? Like common, when I say common, what I mean is a person who is a mother, who is also working, who is also a wife, who is also a daughter and daughter-in-law, whatever it may be. So yeah.
So, well, I think what is required is surrender. I think if we just follow that surrender to the utmost, total unconditional surrender, that means you don't question selectively as to why this is happening, why this is not happening. So you don't question anything, just accept it. Acceptance and total surrender, I think, will keep us equanimous.
So yes, yeah.
I think following that, it's difficult.
So
I'm not saying it's easy.
So yes, theoretically that is correct, but it's very the practical approach to it, right? That's what I think we should be able to focus on. And what path does one start with to actually help ourselves during these times? For example, I do breathing. I can only talk about me. Now I do Gayatri chanting. I've done it for a while now, but I'm just saying. So is that the only way? But that doesn't solve anything, though, right?
No, it
doesn't.
see,
just for that moment. Yeah.
As we talked earlier, it's all inside us. It's not outside. Whatever is happening is only through our mind. Only we are getting affected by it. So if any action that we do, as you suggested, maybe Gayatri chanting, maybe namasmarana, maybe a prayer, maybe whatever it is that keeps you occupied and not dwell on the things that are happening outside, is going to lead you to more peace. And then obviously it's going to lead, because whatever is happening outside, is beyond your control. I don't think it is your ability to change something that is happening outside. That is what I think.
We know the story of Narada thinking he's the greatest devotee of Narayana. We know the story. I don't want to go to the whole story. But then he gives this part with oil, walk around, and but Narayana said there is the farmer there. He's my most greatest devotee. We know the story. Why? Because Narada, when he was walking around without spilling a drop of the oil, he didn't think of Narayana, right? But the farmer from morning till night, he was very busy. He had no time to think of Narayana. All he did was when he went to bed, he said Narayana and then went to sleep. So when we are immersed in our everyday life, okay, busy mother, working, or baby, whatever, we don't need to sit and say Narayana, Narayana, or meditate, you do this. That is not the place for that person to be engaged in. That is the time and place. If they are in the 20s and 30s, they are not going to do it. But if they went to SSC, maybe it is in back of their mind, God is there. You know, that some spirituality will be there for them to guide in the time of needs. But in the busy life, it's okay. But as long as we have all the varnashramas, right? The student's job is to study, right? That householder job is to earn a living according to the dharma and run his family, right? And then we come to the varnashrama. Later, you come to this. But do we live up to the age of 80, 90, wait for varnashrama and then look at God? Maybe not. But then we have to have the spiritual inside us to think of it. But everybody, then it comes to the dharmic way of living life. If you do that, right? We have this Pamara who wants to get anything and everything for the pleasure of the senses. Okay, the dharma is not involved here. Okay, and then the Arthatri who wants to get it, but as long as he's not caught with IRS or police, right? And the Vishayi is he will earn, he will do everything as long as it is adherent to the dharma. He will not deviate from that. Right? Mm-hmm. And then people like us who are in the spiritual for the sadhaka, who always think of these, spiritual thing. How do I apply here? What do I do? Progress. So there are stages. And then comes the jnani at the end, who is not affected by any of it. So we cannot expect everything to happen every time for everybody in every stage of life. It goes in progressively.
Also with births.
Then you go to karma and all that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going.
Yeah. Yeah, it plays a role. Yeah. And of course, now that we talked about that, so again, when we brought out Atma consciousness or body identity, we actually have to go back, again, talking about purity and integrity, because I think that is such a complex topic in today's world. To integrity, I think, is more black and white than having purity, because purity actually, to have that internal purity is something that we have to work through. Yes, there is. I personally have always experienced a wave. In some places we are okay, in some you're not, and each one is at a different level with that. So again, that comes to purity. And then, of course, Rama's role. So since we talked about Rama, how do avatars balance society? We talked about that last time. Can individuals also serve as such instruments in our lives? I mean, is that possible? It's 6 o'clock. Oh. Okay, so we can talk about avatars' role, basically not about avatars, but about us, ourselves, and how we can be instruments in following this. So
just a quick thing. If you can, I think they will put this Dr. Suresh Govind's talk. He talks about these instruments. Yeah. So just to let you know.
Yeah, okay. I will. I was going to anyway. Okay. Life application this week is it's a breath-based reflection. Inhale, I walk the path of dharma. Exhale, I surrender all outcomes. So I thought this was an interesting life application that I read in a book. So so I just put it here. If anyone needs to talk about it, we can talk about it next week. Now we'll have to end it with Om and Three Shantis. Once again, I apologize for the delay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sai Ram.